There comes a point in every person's life when they realize they've outgrown their surroundings. The conversations, the routines, the same old faces, everything starts to feel heavy. You smile, but deep down you're tired. You're tired of pretending you're okay with mediocrity. You're tired of explaining your vision to people who never understood it. And one day, you just stop. You stop replying. You stop going out. You stop trying to fit into a version of yourself that feels like it's dying. You disappear. Not because you're lost, but because you're finally ready to be found. If you've ever felt like disappearing from the noise to find who you truly are, hit that like button. And join us for more weekly motivation to help you rebuild yourself from the ground up. You know that feeling, right? When everything in your life feels loud but empty. You're surrounded by people, yet you feel unseen. You're moving fast, but going nowhere. You wake up every morning doing the same things, having the same thoughts, repeating the same cycle, and something inside you whispers, there has to be more than this. But when you try to change, you feel resistance. Friends start calling you distant. Family says you've changed. People start assuming you're broken, but maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just growing in silence. Disappearing doesn't always mean running away. Sometimes it means returning to yourself. Look at the most successful people you admire. Athletes, artists, creators, thinkers. They all have a disappearing phase. Kobe Bryant used to call it the grind in the dark. Steve Jobs vanished for years before returning to rebuild Apple. Writers, entrepreneurs, and innovators, they all step back from the noise at some point. Because transformation doesn't happen in public, it happens in private. You don't evolve under the spotlight, you evolve in silence when no one's watching, when no one's clapping. There's a reason for this. Psychologists call it cognitive reprogramming. When you isolate yourself from constant external input, from opinions, from distractions, from validation, your brain starts to reorganize. Neuroplasticity means your mind is capable of rewiring itself. But that can't happen when you're always reacting. To reprogram your mind, you need stillness. You need time alone. Disappearing is not an escape, it's a reset. It's a psychological detox from everything that's been shaping you without your permission. The hardest part about disappearing is that no one claps for it. You'll question yourself. You'll feel forgotten. The world will move on without you, but that's exactly the point. You're not supposed to be seen right now. You're supposed to rebuild. You're supposed to strip away the noise and rediscover your voice. Growth feels lonely because evolution requires separation. The caterpillar must isolate before it becomes the butterfly. Not everyone deserves access to your transformation. I remember a guy who disappeared from social media for a year. No posts, no updates, no "I'm working on myself" captions. Just silence. His friends thought he failed, but while they were partying, he was learning. While they were scrolling, he was studying. While they were doubting, he was building. A year later, he came back unrecognizable, fit, focused, calm. Not because he changed overnight, but because he stopped explaining and started evolving. That's what disappearing does. It gives you the space to rebuild without interruption. According to behavioral psychology, your brain runs on loops, cues, routines, and rewards. Most people live their entire lives repeating the same mental and emotional cycles. When you disappear, you break that loop. You stop feeding the same patterns. You interrupt the cycle. And in that space of silence, new habits can take root. This is why stepping away works, because transformation is not about adding more, it's about subtracting what's holding you back. You're not supposed to drag the old version of yourself into your next chapter. You have to let it die, you have to let go of who you were, to make room for who you're becoming. That might mean deleting the number of someone who keeps pulling you backward. It might mean spending nights alone while others go out. It might mean starting from zero when everyone else is chasing shortcuts. But that's the price of transformation. You can't build a new life with old habits. There will be nights when you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. You'll question if isolation was worth it. That's when you remind yourself and the old you is gone. And that's exactly what you wanted. Every new identity is born through death. The death of comfort, the death of distraction, the death of who you used to be. It's supposed to hurt. That's how you know it's working. Science calls it the Yerkes-Dodson law. It says a moderate level of stress or discomfort actually enhances growth and performance. Too little pressure, and you stagnate. Too much, and you break. When you disappear, you step into that sweet spot, controlled discomfort. You create pressure on purpose. You challenge your identity without collapsing it. That's where transformation begins. You learn to sit with your own thoughts. You learn to live without validation. You learn that peace isn't found in others. It's built within. Then one day, you'll wake up different. You'll talk slower. You'll react less. You'll care less about who's watching. You'll move with quiet confidence, and not because you became arrogant, but because you finally know who you are. The people who once doubted you will start asking where you've been, but you won't explain. Because how do you explain becoming someone you used to dream about? You don't owe the world an update. Your results will speak for you. In mythology, the phoenix burns itself to ashes before rising again. But people forget that in the middle of that process, it's just fire and darkness. No wings. No beauty. Just chaos. That's what disappearing feels like. Chaos, confusion, stillness. But from that chaos comes clarity. From that darkness comes rebirth. You can't rise if you're afraid to burn. So, if you feel distant right now, if you've been pulling away, if you've been craving solitude, maybe it's not depression, maybe it's evolution. Maybe your soul is tired of noise and ready for clarity. Maybe your energy is being called inward, so you can come back stronger. Not every season of silence is punishment. Some are preparation. Disappearing doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go. It means walking away from what no longer serves you so you can serve your purpose. When you vanish from the noise, you give yourself permission to rebuild without interference. You allow your actions to grow roots in peace. And when you come back, you'll be unrecognizable. Not because you changed everything, but because you finally became everything you were meant to be. So disappear. Let them wonder where you went. Let them talk. Let them guess. When you return, you won't need to say a word. Your transformation will speak louder than anything you could ever post. You don't need attention. You need alignment. You don't need approval. You need evolution. Disappear. Rebuild. Return. Because the greatest glow-up of your life will always start in silence.